I just want to first say thank you to everyone for joining us tonight. My name's Sage Ober, as you can see, and I serve as the director for Living Learning and New Student Programs at the University of Richmond. And I have the pleasure of getting to work with a number of different offices across our campus to organize our New Spider Summer Series. And I'm really excited to have you join us tonight because I am somewhat biased because I help run these programs. And so I'm excited to get the chance to talk with you about them tonight. So I have two people joining me, Caitlin Van Dyke, who serves as the Assistant Director for Living Learning Programs, who I work directly with, and then Jill Woodward, who's the Manager for Outdoor Adventure and Leadership, who is also a great campus partner. And we're here to talk overall about our transition programs. Um, so specifically our Endeavor program and also our Outdoor Adventure Richmond program. What I do want to say is we obviously, as you can see, have a bit of a presentation. So we will go through that. And then at the end, we will answer any questions that people have. So at the bottom of your screen, there is a Q&A box. And so you can type in questions at any time. Just know that we'll wait till the end of the presentation to answer them. So again, if feel free to put them in there at any time and know that if we don't address them immediately, we will do so in a little bit. So with that said, I'll get started kind of talking about our transition programs in general, and then I'll have Caitlin and Jill jump in to talk more specifically about our two specific programs. Um, but so again, a little bit about transition programs. We offer a number of different transition or pre-orientation, you'll hear them referred to either of those names, that occur prior to our New Spider orientation. So this means that students who take part in these programs will move in early, which again, we hear from these students who take part in these programs is this is one of the perks of doing so. It's nice to kind of get settled into campus before all, usually around 900 students arrive for orientation. So this means that students that take part in these programs will move in early on Sunday, August 17th. And their programs will run from that Sunday, August 17th through the morning of Wednesday, August 20th. And then on the evening of Wednesday, August 20th, they will start with New Spider orientation, which again, the whole first year and transfer classes will take part in. The other thing to note about this is we do run a family and supporter orientation. It is not required that parents, families, supporters attend this, but again, it's a really nice opportunity to get to know administrators at the institution as well as ask any questions that you might have. And because of the earlier start date for this program, we will run a separate family and supporter orientation, so you do not need to return on Wednesday, August 20th and that Thursday, August 21st for those sessions. The thing to note about this is the programs are the same. They look a little bit different in how they're set up, but again, each parent or family and supporter group will hear from our college president as well as an academic panel and a student life panel. So again, I just want to ensure that you will be getting the same information and have the same abilities to ask questions to people. Another important thing to note about our transition programs is they are no additional cost for students to participate in them. So again, often we'll get that question and we know that can be a barrier for some people. But again, we do not have any associated costs. So I think that's again another perk of these programs. And the other thing to note too is students will move directly into their fall housing assignment. So they will not need to be in a temporary space just because they arrive early. They again will get the chance to move early and get settled in their new space. So again, that's a little bit of helpful information about transition programs in general. And a little bit about what programs are offered. And again, we'll go into some more detail about all of this, but we have three different pre-orientation programs we offer. So there is Endeavor pre-orientation. Endeavor is a full year-long experience. So again, it will take part of someone's whole first year on campus. But again, we do have a pre-orientation program to get students acquainted with the faculty that they will be taking class with, as well as being advised by. So again, that's definitely one of the perks of the Endeavor program. We also have Outdoor Adventure Richmond, which again, Jill will talk more about, but this is a really great way for students who love the outdoors members want to learn more about kind of the outdoor experiences available in Richmond, and gain some leadership development skills, and again, get to know others who are interested in similar things. And then we also have international orientation as well. And students who are required to attend international orientation are automatically enrolled in this program. So again, there was also a session this morning where we will post that webinar if people want more information about international orientation as well. Some other notes to be aware of is students can participate in both Endeavor and International Orientation. We have worked together as a group to come up with two condensed experiences so students can again get to know students in both of those orientation programs and get information that they need so they can enter successfully. Oh, Outdoor Adventure Richmond, or OAR for short, is the only program that you cannot do combined with other programs. And mainly this is because the activities they are doing can take them away from campus, and not the schedules aren't able to mix. However, we do have socials in the evening, as well as opening and closing programs where, again, those students will get the chance to interact with other transition program students, which you can see below. Again, we will have late night socials and different mandatory sessions that, again, we will make sure that all transition programs take a part in. And then again, a little bit more information. These programs, like I mentioned, happen right before our new Spider orientation. Oh, we already covered this. It seems to be a repeat. I was like, wait a minute, I talked about this. Sorry, sometimes technology gets in the way. But we'll drill down on some, those are some important facts to have. So with that said, I'm going to toss it over to Caitlin to give you some more information about the Richmond Endeavor program.
Hi, everyone. As Sage introduced me before, my name is Caitlin Van Dyke. I'm the Assistant Director of Living Learning Programs. So I do get to work directly with our Richmond Endeavor program, so I might be a little biased about some of the content that I share with you, but it really is a truly engaging experience for our students. When we start thinking about this, we've had some really great feedback from students this year who've participated. This year, we had about 170 students that stayed with us the entire year through the Endeavor experience. So they've shared a variety of different feedback for us. Most of them are sharing, though, that this has been a really impactful experience for them. One of the quotes that we received from our students is on this screen, actually, and this has talked a little bit about how they've intentionally built community within their class, as well as how that's going to impact them in the future, and all of their endeavors beyond this program when they're at the University of Richmond. A lot of what we focus on is, again, those classroom connections, the outside connections to the University of Richmond, to the general Richmond city community, and to faculty and other mentors in whatever field that students might be wanting to look at. As Sage shared, this is, again, a year-long commitment for our students if they choose to join the Richmond Endeavor. It is an academic living learning program, so our students are engaged in coursework as opposed to different activities. So this will combine activities, just not necessarily in the same way that Outdoor Adventure Richmond does. So with this year-long component, our students do take 2 courses in their first year. In the first semester, that's going to be a 1-unit course. So that is the entire semester, as is our spring semester, where it's either 1 unit or a half unit. That really depends on the course that your student is taking, whether or not that would be a full unit in the spring or just a half unit component. When we look at the spring semester, typically that learning is project-based. So taking all of the foundational knowledge that they gathered with their peers in that first fall semester and turning it into some kind of project. Depending on the course they take, that really changes what that may look like as well. All of our courses that are offered through the Richmond Endeavor either fulfill a first-year seminar requirement, which is required of every first-year student, or they will fulfill a major or minor requirement, depending, again, on what track your student might be interested in. So some of these students may also have a first-year seminar in that first semester in the fall, and depending on the class, it might count as a major or minor requirement in the spring. So I think leadership is one of those, where it counts for both of those pieces. Our Endeavor faculty are also the academic advisor for the student who is affiliated with their class. So they will retain those students in their academic advising load for 2 years. years. So a great way to really connect with faculty from the beginning and stay with them for a long period of time and meaningful relationships as well. Additionally, students have peer advisors who are navigators. Navigators are student workers who specifically work with our Endeavor office, and they are all actually Endeavor alumni. So they've gone through this program, they know what the expectations are, and they will advise students on courses to take, how to connect to Richmond, how to build community here as well. And then on top of that, all of our students do live together in Laura Robbins Court, which is on the West Hampton side of campus. It is very close to our dining facility, and it does hold about 250 or so first-year students. So while our Endeavor students live together, they are not the only students in that building either. So for our next year, we do have 8 different courses for students to choose from. So these are examples of what those courses are. Well, they are the actual examples for next year. So again, these will either fulfill a first-year seminar requirement or a major or minor requirement, depending on the trajectory of your students' collegiate experience as well. For additional information, you can go to livinglearning.richmond.edu to learn more about each of these courses. On those pages, you would find specific information about what each section of this class looks like, so what that fall requirement is and what the spring requirement is. You will also see additional information about short courses. So short courses take place during our pre-orientation program, so those first few days that your student moves in early to campus, and it would share some content about what they'll be working through with their faculty and their peers during that time as well. For some of our students who may be looking at things like our science, math, and research training, so SMART, or societal impact through business, there are some calc classes that are usually in there. So if you are coming in with some AP credits for calculus or anything like that, there's also information on those websites of who you can reach out to see if you may be exempt from taking that class. So there are some placement exams, and sometimes AP credit just carries over. You just need to make sure you're having those conversations with faculty up front. How do you apply for Endeavor? So Endeavor applications are actually open right now. They will close on June 1st. So you still got a good bit of time to apply for it. When you are doing the application, you can select up to 5 communities that you're interested in, and you can rank them. As you are doing the application, every community that you express interest in, you'll be able to respond in a short paragraph that basically details why you are interested in that. What happens from there is once that application closes on the 1st, we review those applications along with some faculty members, and then we will send out offers on June 6th. How it works with Endeavor is we have up to 180 seats in our program, so unfortunately we cannot accept every single person in the first year class if they all applied. But for the most part, if students are applying to our programs, we will work to get them into a course as long as we have the capacity to do so. So that is a very quick turnaround on that June 6th timeframe as well. Students will have to accept their offer on June 8th, which is a Sunday this year. And from there, if you accept your offer, you get loaded into our housing system, which is StarRez. They essentially code all of our students for Endeavor as Endeavor students, which means when your student is looking at the roommate portal, you're only seeing other Endeavor students. So that kind of brings down that number of people you could potentially be trying to meet as a roommate, but they just are other Endeavor students. If for a roommate purpose too, your roommate does have to be an Endeavor, but they do not have to be in the same class. So if I'm taking the world of cinema and Sage is taking marine ecology, we can still be roommates because we're an Endeavor, but we don't have to be in the same exact course. If you do not have a roommate when you go through this process, if you choose not to select one, or you're just like not certain, that is okay. We will go ahead and make sure that you are paired with somebody from the Endeavor program. Housing takes care of that for you based on the information you provide in your housing profile. So they try to do some intentional pairings based on that information. So when you complete the housing information, please make sure you are true to your habits and to what you are looking for when it comes to a roommate. And I'm going to pass it over to Jill to talk about Outdoor Adventure Richmond.
Everyone. Outdoor Adventure Richmond is one of the other pre-orientation programs that is able to benefit from just a few of the outdoor activities and opportunities that the city of Richmond offers. And it's right in our backyard. So when we begin our adventure and stuff that Monday, we'll be whitewater rafting together on the only river in the U.S. that actually holds Class 5 rapids within city limits. And we'll also be able to, right there on the university campus, we'll be able to test our abilities by like traversing across the cables and stuff that are 40 feet up in the air at our challenge course. The challenge course was built in 2008, and she is wonderfully run and managed by our partnership with Challenge Discovery, which is a nonprofit within the community. Um, and we'll also be able to practice some outdoor leisure skills at the river that is just 10 minutes down the road, where we'll be able to have the opportunity to swim, as well as lizarding on the rocks, or some people like to call it suntanning. Um, and we'll also be able to have, if you want to just go on a wander and stuff throughout the park. So at Pony Pasture, and Pony Pasture is a really awesome park that is a part of our James River Park Association system. And it is 600 acres within the city of Richmond that is designated to parks for public access. So within all of these activities, there's a lot of opportunities and stuff for it to, you know, build like a sense of community as well as belonging and stuff, leadership development, and resiliency and self-efficacy. So with all of that, it becomes a wonderful opportunity for students to, just like the Endeavor program, be able to come there early, get to know other people. And, what's special about the outdoors and stuff is that everybody has their own connection with nature. And if you don't, like, this is also a wonderful opportunity to start that and to figure it out. So with all of that being said, we are a community that's wonderful in the city of Richmond, and that is, slowly expanding and stuff to U of R. And it also gives the opportunity throughout the year where they can come and do trips and stuff with us, as well as like rent our equipment that is completely free. So although it is not a semester or a year-long program, it is one that is designed to continuously kind of build off of our trips and the opportunities that we can give students and stuff while they're here at U of R. So the application went live April 1st, as the same as Endeavor. And our deadline is June 1st, and the offers will go out on June 6th. So we do have a cap of 40 students. We do this because being able to build the community and the resiliency and just everything in between really requires to have smaller number of students so that they can actually form those connections. And then when it comes to housing, students will just go through the normal process when applying for their housing opportunities. So whether you have a roommate in mind or you're open to somebody new. So.
Thanks, Jill. One other thing I did want to say, I was thinking of when Jill was talking, and I actually got this question a couple times from some families and students recently, is asking if they could apply to both OAR and Endeavor. Obviously, they know they cannot enroll in both, but can you apply to both? And I do want to say you can absolutely apply to both, and we will talk with Jill and if you both get offered, you'll if you get offered both, you'll have the chance to make that decision on which program's the best one for you. And then we have alternate lists and things like that so we can reach out to students. So just know if you are interested in both programs, I say apply to both, because then again, it gives you more opportunities, again, depending on kind of numbers and where things land, that you might be able to take part in. So I just wanted to clarify that. This slide has everyone's email addresses, also including Jason Inesto, who works in our office with new student programs and coordinates our new Spider orientation program. So if you have any general questions about orientation, you again can reach out to him. But also if you have any questions following today's webinar, again, please feel free to email. The other email I'll mention here is we do have new spiders at richmond.edu. And if you email us there, we get a ton of different questions and we might not always have the answer, but we know how to find people that do. So again, just know you have a number of people you can always reach out to, and we're more than willing to help answer any questions or get you connected with the right person. So with that said, I do have a couple questions coming up. So we'll answer those. And let me just explain. We also have social media accounts here, and we'll leave the slide up. So if you want to scan the QR codes, please feel free. We are using them. I know our LLNSP one, we're trying to put up different reminders around orientation and Endeavor. So it would be awesome to have you take a look at them and or follow them to get up-to-date information. So I've got a few different questions and we'll just start going through them. So the first question we have is, can you join both Endeavor/OAR and URISE? So again, like I said, you can't join both Endeavor and OAR, but again, you can apply to both. You would just have to make a decision on which one you would be most interested in. With URISE, if you apply to URISE and you accept that offer, you are automatically enrolled in the SMART or science, math, and research training. I was like, let me get all of the letters right. Endeavor program. So again, if you are enrolled in URISE and accept it, you will automatically be placed into Endeavor, meaning you would go through Endeavor pre-orientation. Okay, we got a few other questions. What is the male-female split on the Endeavor program? That's a great question. I was like, I don't know if I know the full number. I was like, and Caitlin, I don't know if you from looking at rosters, if you know for sure, but
I think there's like a healthy representation of both. I don't know that there's a specific breakdown. I think when I think of this question, I think of it from a housing lens, probably, since students are typically in a gender like in specific gendered rooms. But I don't know that we've ever had an issue with there being a larger population than another or anything like that. So I think it is a pretty even split from what I've seen roster wise.
yeah, I would tend to agree. I think there's just in general, the college enrollment is usually larger. There's a larger population of females. So I would say there is probably a higher percentage, but it does not feel like it feels representative of the school, if that makes sense. And I would say like in the past too, I know we also run a sophomore program, Sophomore Scholars in Residence, SSIR, which your Endeavor students, if they join, will hear about that program once they arrive to campus. And in the past, we've had that lean predominantly female. And over the past couple of years, we've seen a far more even split. So again, I think Endeavor and SSIR in our programs are typically trending, matching again, the school kind of demographic too. Another question we got is, what percentage of applicants to the Endeavor program are declined? Caitlin, I was like, I don't know if you want to.
So in past years, so this is my first year running this process, but in past years, we've been able to put students into every single seat that we have. So while I can't guarantee 100% that there would be placement, it's really a numbers kind of situation. So again, we can take up to about 180 total students. Application wise, I don't know if you know the total number from last year, Sage, but I think there was enough wiggle room to move folks around if needed.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, Caitlin's right. I was like, typically, what I will say is if a student applies to multiple programs, we are usually able to like get them and work with them in an option. What we do see and where some students will end up kind of getting declined from the program, typically speaking, is if they apply to one program and that is it, and they have no interest in anything else, which again is totally fine. For some people, that is, they want that one program, and if they don't get it, that they're like, no, I don't want any other option. But again, if we have spaces, if we have students like that, we tend to reach out to them to say, hey, this program might not work out for you, but we have some other options. Are you interested? And we have some take us up on that and some who don't. So again, we typically are able to get almost most people who apply into Endeavor into the program, but again, obviously from year to year, it depends on the numbers. But so far, we've done pretty well at having enough seats and matching kind of the interest.
I think some of it also depends, like Sage was sharing too, on the course that you select too. So most of our classes have a 16-person cap to them. That is just typical class capacity at the University of Richmond, which we can't just make extra seats for, unfortunately. I will share that our marine ecology class can only hold 11 students. They actually go out and do field work, which is part of why that number is reduced. So they'll be going off the coast and looking at oyster beds and things like that. Very exciting, but a lot of people to be in the water. So that is part of that piece. And then our business program, so societal impact through business, and our SMART program, which is the science, math, and research training, those can hold up to 40 to 44 students, depending on which program it is, essentially. So those have a larger capacity to have additional students in them.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Another question we got is so OAR students cannot room with Endeavor students. That is correct. Again, Endeavor students can only live with other Endeavor students. Again, they do not need to be in the same class, but they need to be in the Endeavor program. And since OAR is not in the Endeavor program, that means that yes, they cannot select each other as roommates. And again, we sometimes have students who apply to Endeavor and then they have a person they find as a roommate and they decide the roommate's going to be the better fit for them rather than taking part in the Endeavor program. And that's okay too. I say to people, if you're interested in Endeavor at all, you should definitely apply. You have a chance to not accept it if it's just not the right thing for you. So again, it is definitely something students have to think about if that's the right fit or not. But again, just to, provide that context. Let's see here. Would the Endeavor program give you access to the business school? And they asked because they thought there was mention of all your classes being pre-registered for business.
That is correct. So it does give you a different kind of access that not a lot of first-year students do have if you are in the business program. And it is because we do pre-register you for anything that is Endeavor affiliated. So the same kind of piece happens for our SMART program as well as any other class. Any of those Endeavor affiliated classes are pre-registered for you. The way that SMART and business are set up is sometimes you're taking more than one class in that semester because they are very much focused on those specific majors. So if that is the case, you get pre-registered for all of those classes. I will share though that because we do have a large number of students who do apply for the business program or for the SMART program, if you do not get into that specific program, it is okay. There are a lot of other opportunities to have contact with those faculty members and with those specific schools as well. Something that our business Endeavor program has started to offer this year, which depending on capacity, they are intending to continue offering as well. Is that if there are open spaces in any of their business classes beyond just their Endeavor students, they open it up to our larger Endeavor population. So you may be somebody who's taking marine ecology, but you want to take one of these business courses. If they have the capacity, their first offer goes out to the rest of our Endeavor community. So that is something that is new that has happened this year, but they are intending to continue that practice as long as they have open seats in those classes for future endeavors as well.
Another question is unrelated to orientation programs, but do we know the business school acceptance rate? I do not know that, and I Googled, but I'm getting different answers. So what I would say to you is if you email new spiders, and I'll type this in the box too, so you can get the email address. If you write to me at newspiders@richmond.edu, I have some contacts in the business school that I can ask this question to and get you the answer to following. So sorry, we don't have that answer here, but we can certainly get it for you. Another question is, might have missed it earlier, but is OAR just a 3-day program which happens as a part of the 3-day early arrival? So yes, OAR is a 3-day program that happens right before orientation. It is not a semester or year-long program. However, as Jill kind of talked about, it does often get people interested in the outdoor adventure programs here on campus. And Jill does schedule all types of different programs and events throughout the year. And I think I was like, Jill, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like some of the students worked for you who were in OAR and now are going to be OAs this coming year. So I think there are other ways to get involved if you really love that experience. I was like, Jill, I can let you speak to that a little more if you want to.
Yeah, no, you answered that perfectly. Yeah.
I took all of your words from you. Sorry, Jill. I just know because we work with students who, again, love that program and had such great experiences. So highly recommend. Okay, let's see here. Can you provide some commentary on the reputation, I think of Endeavor? In some of the chat rooms, there's some light commentary on the program being seen as nerdy, and in reality, that might be more academic or conscientious. I was like, Caitlin and I, I was like, Caitlin, I don't know if you want to take it. I'm more than happy to answer it.
Yeah, I can take it too. I think that because we've had some of these conversations with students, specifically in some of our survey feedback recently, that some of our students are feeling that way. A lot of what they are honestly saying, though, is some of it is that they feel a little disconnected because Laura Robbins is the only residence hall for first-year students on the West Hampton side of campus. But I think that when you think about Endeavor, it is very much what you make of it. So while it is an academically rigorous community compared to some other opportunities maybe out there, I don't think that it has to be viewed in like some of the ways that our students sometimes kind of portray it, I guess. Because I think oftentimes when our students are looking at this program, you are in a course with your peers. You are connected. You kind of build your own community right from the start. But there are so many other people on campus, and sometimes you just have to step outside of that box and get to know them. I think that our pre-orientation programs do some really intentional ways of like combining students for those socials at night. So again, like we shared earlier, even if you're in OAR and you're not in Endeavor, you still see each other. So you can still connect. Even if you don't live in the same residence hall, that is still something that is open to you. You can go to the same gym classes together. You go to the same dining hall. So I really think it is very much what you choose to make of it. I think because it has that academic piece, I think that's why students sometimes may have this perception of being nerdier, but the reality is we're all engaged in some kind of academic coursework anyways. So I think that this just kind of creates a different community dynamic because your peers are also living with you, but that doesn't limit your opportunities on campus. I don't think it limits who you can be friends with. I think sometimes it takes the courage to step out of that bubble and make those take advantage of the opportunities that exist on campus beyond just Endeavor too.
Yeah, and I would just add on, I mean, again, we hear this every now and then, but I also will say we have a lot of students we don't hear this from at all either. And I would say our Endeavor students are largely engaged across a campus and a number of activities. So again, I think what Caitlin said, you gotta kind of put yourself out there and take advantage of the different opportunities out there. We've also done a lot of work in the past couple of years too to make sure that when we hit New Spider orientation, we used to group students based on residence halls, which kept Endeavor students together the whole time throughout their program. We've done a lot of work to, again, kind of make that separation. So during New Spider orientation, they're getting to know new people. And again, there's tons of opportunities on our campus to get involved in a number of different ways. And so I think, again, there's a lot of ways to connect outside of that.
I think we're also trying to intentionally blend the Laura Robbins Court community a little more too, because as I shared, that is a larger residence hall and it does hold our Endeavor students, but there are other non-Endeavor students that also live there. So I think we are in conversations with our residence life partners. I was thinking of the word, I almost said pals, but also pals. So we are working with Residence Life to try and collaborate a little more to kind of intentionally blend that community, because I think that sometimes that may be where those pieces stem from too. If I'm an Endeavor and Sage is not an Endeavor, but we live in the same hall and the majority of the students are Endeavor, I think that that kind of sometimes can create some of that dynamic too. So we are trying to be very intentional with blending those communities a little more, so students are not feeling left out if they're not in the Endeavor program and living in Laura Robbins, or vice versa.
Perfect. So another question is the extra course or two that is done as a part of Endeavor on top of the normal first year coursework, i.e., does Endeavor involve more coursework? Yeah, I was like, it does not. It's a part, those count for the credits that you would have to take already. So I say that's one of the best parts about Endeavor is like, if your Endeavor course includes a first year seminar FYS class, you have to take that regardless. So if you're doing it through the Endeavor program, you're just kind of getting all of those add-ons. Same with the other classes. Again, most students come in here registering for 4 courses their first semester here, as well as their Well 100 course. So again, you would be scheduling for the same amount. Your Endeavor course would be included in that. So there is no additional kind of workload or classes that you're taking because you enroll in Endeavor.
In some classes like SMART, I think they're taking 2 courses in the
Mhm.
first semester. So those, anything affiliated with Endeavor, you are pre-registered for. So in the summer, when you get into academic advising, you create different lists. If you're in the Endeavor program, you're only creating 1 list instead of 2 because you're pre-registered for at least 1 class.
And again, your faculty member who serves as your academic advisor will help talk you through that, as well as your navigator, who's kind of that student peer academic advisor, will be able to help talk you through making those plans and kind of what that looks like. Another question we got is if you don't get into the business endeavor course, can you still get the pre-registration for business classes? So again, no, that's not the case. Again, if you would have to be enrolled in the RSB or Societal Impact of Business Endeavor course to be pre-registered. As Caitlin said, sometimes there's some opportunities and some additional spots that come open, mostly in the spring, and we'll offer them to Endeavor students. And then in that case, you could maybe be pre-registered, but again, that's not a guarantee. Just somewhat depends on what spaces might be open. So again, you would have to be admitted into the RSB or Societal Impact of Business Endeavor course to be pre-registered for those classes.
And if the capacity exists to pre-register other students into those courses, traditionally it's going to be offered to anybody enrolled in Endeavor prior to the general campus community.
And so again, I think there was a clarification question. If you don't get into the business course, but choose another Endeavor course, do you still get access to pre-registration for business if that's your intended major? So again, that answer is no, unfortunately, you would not. But again, as we said, there could be some other options that might come available. Let's see. Aside from the added academic aspect you addressed, is Endeavor meant to help kids have a softer landing at college? If kids have frankly been coddled too much at home and parents are scared about having their adult children standing on their own 2 feet, is Endeavor meant to help those parents sleep at night? Or is it a combo of academics and that?
I think it depends how you look at it. But it's a transitional program, which is what all of these are. OAR is the same way. So it gives your students about 3 days to get acclimated to campus before everybody else comes to campus. So I think that that can be a nice way to kind of like trust that they're with people beyond just peers. They're with professional staff, they're with faculty members, they're with people who are intentionally there to care and support them the entire time. I think the other thing that I think I missed when I was talking about Endeavor is we offer additional funding to these classes to connect them with Richmond. So they go out into the community and they expand beyond the UR campus. Some of our courses do go out to museums in the area. They might go to performances in town. So it really is something that gives them a year-long connection opportunity. So it does mimic some of those pieces of OAR where you're off campus too, just in a different capacity. But I'm sorry to cut you off, Sage. I didn't know if you had something else.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think just what you said. I mean, we offer transition programs to help students get like acquainted to college and University of Richmond in a new environment. I think with Endeavor, right, we have 180 students and it is truly a diverse community in that regard. Like there's so many different types of students coming from different backgrounds with different families. So again, I think kind of the program meets the needs of many in different ways. Um, I think one of the things I was going to say to kind of the other question about um like students like Endeavor students kind of feeling different than others. I would say one of the pieces of feedback, I've been at UR, I'm on my third year here. And I will say typically when I talk to students in their junior or senior year, I will end up hearing from them that they wish they would have joined the program. Because again, most times you get connected to faculty in a deeper way than you would if you're not, which oftentimes can lead to different research opportunities or internship connections. I just talked to a student the other day who their Endeavor professor connected them with someone for an internship 2 years later. So again, there's really a lot of benefits to the program outside of that kind of, I think, original intention of like coming and getting acquainted and settled in a new environment, but it has really long lasting impacts. I think we're seeing that right now as we're watching students graduate from our institution who took part in Endeavor and sophomore scholars in residence. And these programs, change their lives in many ways, again, from relationships to faculty or trips they got to take or just the peers that they had or coming early to campus. So again, I think you can look at it a lot of different ways, but again, I'm also very biased, but it's a great program. I'll also say it's not for everyone either, too. And that's why we have so many different options here for students to take part in. But yeah, I think a little more to add there. Okay, let's see. We got another couple of questions here. I understand the connection with faculty, professors at Endeavor is something special, but how is that different from the norm? When on campus for Administration Day, I got the sense that all Richmond classes are small and the level of student attention is off the charts. So how can Endeavor be more than that?
Yeah. I think that when you look at Endeavor, because as a first year student, you will be assigned an academic advisor. They just might not be tied to the course that you're actually taking. So I can share for like next year, I'll be doing academic advising. So I'll have 16 students, but I only teach a well 100 class. So while the rapport is going to be intentional, I'm not seeing you in class twice a week. So the relationship we're building is probably very different. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. I think that can be a really effective way to do advising and to build intentional relationships and a mentorship kind of network across campus. But I do think that because of the additional touch points from being in the same class with that faculty member, it can really kind of strengthen that connection. I think because our students are also living together, they tend to develop a close-knit community. I do think you can get that experience in other classes as well. But I think that because of these external opportunities to connect outside of the classroom, to go out to dinner together, some of our students even go to faculty members' houses for like s'mores. So there's a variety of opportunities that do exist for our students because we have some additional funding that can support those activities and those social experiences. I think that often is what makes a bigger difference for some of our students when it comes to that close-knit community, and the intentionality that can happen in an Endeavor program versus a non-Endeavor kind of experience. I do not think that either format is a bad thing. I don't think that it is a negative impact in any way, but I do think that there is just the ability and the resources to do a little more intentional connection.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, again, I would say one of the plus sides and benefits of attending Richmond is I do think that our students would say they have close relationships with their faculty. And again, classes are student centered. Endeavor, I think, again, it is naturally built in. So it's a nice way I mean, it kind of naturally happens because they're your advisor and you get to know them off the bat and through a pre-orientation program. And it also allows students the chance, because I think some students come in unsure of how to connect with faculty and how that looks. And so this really is kind of a way to show how that does happen. So again, I think that it can help kind of give students an example in which to kind of move their other relationships. And again, I think it's interesting because a lot of students who take part in Endeavor might not major in the specific thing they took a course in. So again, a lot of times it allows them to connect with faculty outside of their discipline that they might be interested in as well. So again, it allows for some different connections. And again, I think one of the students I was talking to the other day was saying that their faculty member knew another faculty member who then she met and was able to get another internship through. So again, there's just these connections and things that often come out of the program. But I also tell students like you can get that experience outside of Endeavor as well. It just looks different or might take a little more time, So again, kind of depends on the student too. Another question we got is, are there additional academic requirements in the first year of Endeavor beyond the courses, for example, capstone projects or papers? Uh, I,
They're embedded in the
yeah.
coursework, but there's nothing like additional outside of it.
Yeah. So if they're taking a class, they would be doing the same things that they're doing for the class with a half unit, right? It could be project based in the spring. So again, it's like Caitlin said, it's embedded in the course and can look different kind of depending on the specific thing.
I can give some examples though, if you're like thinking of like what does a half unit potentially look like. So this year we ran a program called Food Identity and Social Change. They looked at a lot of farm to table kind of options. So as their spring semester kind of wrapped up, they did a poster presentation, but it was all things that would have traditionally been embedded in their like coursework anyways. They planned their entire poster presentation piece. They looked at locally sourced foods that they actually served at their presentation. They planned a whole menu. They worked with catering. These were all things that were embedded in that coursework, so they were not additional larger pieces. They were just part of that class experience.
And then it looks like, sorry, I've got a barking dog in the back. We've got another question unrelated to programs, but any commentary on student jobs on campus for first year students, available to all, off limits and first years, easy to access. What I can say is that there are a number of campus jobs and first years are able to apply to them as well. Usually when students get to campus, there is a job fair that's advertised so students can come and apply to different jobs on campus. So again, I would say if a student is looking for employment on campus, it's usually they can get it. It just requires kind of again going through the different processes. I think also if you type in like student employment, University of Richmond, a job board will come up with different opportunities. So again, that is definitely a possibility for a first year student.
Yeah, I was going to say when it comes to the jobs and stuff, something that I've noticed with freshmen that are interested in applying is forgetting two forms of ID for the I-9. There are some departments that have like a required like mandatory training and stuff. So specifically with UREC, so the gym, we have a mandatory training and stuff you have to attend once a year, but it happens like within the first 2 weeks of school starting. And if you don't attend that training, unfortunately, you cannot work until that you have attended, and it only happens once a semester. So there are some, if you want it, do it quickly.
And bring your IDs. But a lot of our students, even thinking about our Endeavor program, a lot of our students do hold jobs on campus. So I definitely don't think that it's like, I mean, it's going to be competitive like any other institution, I would say, but like a lot of our students do hold at least one job on campus, if not more than one. So the jobs are out there. You just have to look at the job boards and then definitely make sure that you have your ID so onboarding goes smooth.
Great. And one other question we got is, I think recalling somewhere that there are about 20% of the new students do Endeavor. And that is an accurate statement. It is right at about 20% of our incoming class that participate in Endeavor. Let's see. If a student is planning on getting 150 credits in 4 years to sit for an accounting exam and handling extra credits work, how does handling extra credits work with the Endeavor program? I think that Richmond only allows 7 credits from AP, so the extra 23 credits need to be spanned across remaining years. I'm going to say I don't want to answer anything incorrectly here. So what I will say with the Endeavor program, for the most part, again, they meet certain requirements, so it's not necessarily extra courses, but again, it does depend. What I will say is students will have the chance to work with their academic advisors over the summer. There's an email advising at richmond.edu, and our coworker, Andrea, who works there, might be a better resource. So again, if you also email that new spiders at richmond.edu address, we can help kind of get answers and address those questions. I just don't want to miss answer at this time. All right. Well, we are pretty much right at time, I think, and I'm not seeing any other questions pour in right now. So, again, thank you to everyone for attending and asking us so many questions. Again, please feel free to reach out to any of the email addresses listed. And like I said, newspiders at richmond.edu, so we can help follow up with any questions we were not able to answer specifically today. One other thing I'll just mention is that this webinar is being recorded and then will be placed on our New Spider Orientation YouTube page. So again, you can revisit this information at any time if you would like. So it should be posted there by the end of the week. So again, please feel free to take a look there if you want to revisit any information. Again, Caitlin just popped up this slide with different emails. So again, just please don't hesitate to reach out if you have a question. Again, we're more than willing to help and or find the answer wherever we can. So again, thank you to everyone for attending tonight and asking so many great questions. We appreciate it. And again, look forward to welcoming you in the fall. And I hope that everyone has a wonderful evening. Night, everyone.